on my short time at Miskatonic University. I intend to dispel all rumors relating to my short time at Miskatonic University. Yes, it is true that I gave a series of lectures on classical art during the spring of 1925. So too did I come into acquaintance with one Richard Pickman. Despite what many tabloids and penny newspapers would have you believe, no overly strange occurrence happened involving Mr. Pickman and myself. It is true that I saw his studio, his works. He struck me as a brilliant painter, if a bit macabre. No, I am certain that he is dead, wholly and entirely. Yes, I am aware of the fake Pickman paintings that surface from time to time. I, unlike certain sensationalist newspapers, am certain of their falseness. After all, how can a man who died in Boston in 1926 paint pictures in Berlin in 1943? I seem to have answered all your questions. Oh, one more? No, every real Pickman was burned by his relatives after his disappearance. And why would I be interested in such gruesome paintings anyway? No, there is no secret vault in my home, and if there was, I certainly wouldn't tell some stuck-up Herald-Picayune reporter. No, you may not inspect my home for any reason. Please leave immediately. I seem to have lost my temper there. I should be more careful about interviews. People look at me oddly anyways, because of the rumors of my seeing the source of Pickman's genius. If they knew the truth, they'd deem me mad and let me rot in Königsreich Sanitarium or some such place. Some days I wish I could just tell them, but I know it would be the end of my days as a respected art professor at Hexahugel University of Art. The doctors said that the Bavarian air would be good for my health after the incident that led to Richard Upton Pickman to seemingly disappear from the waking world. I feel the chill of the open window against the warmth of the fire in the back of the study. But now the fire is dying. I better add a log. A voice. Guten Tag, Professor Nicholson. It's been a while. I recognize the voice. The low growl with a hint of soft undertones, making me feel both comforted and terrified at once. A blur of movement, and he's brought out a snack for himself. From my short glance at it, it appeared to be some sinuous, elongated cut of meat. I turn away. No matter how many times he eats in front of me, I never get used to it. I pour myself a glass of scotch. Pickman doesn't drink. Richard Upton Pickman, I don't recall seeing you since, at least 1946. What have you been up to, my friend? Another painting for my collection, my dear colleague. He always called me his colleague. I never quite understood why. After all, I'm just a teacher. I haven't painted anything truly original since 1917, when I was sent home from the war with a lost leg. Pickman got me another, somewhere. Devil knows where or how he found one that fit. I still limp a little. Something to do with mismatched nerves and blood types and such. It's all good, though. The limp helps keep up appearances. I think this one is one of my best. I call it The Hills of the North. Pickman placed his snack down, half-eaten, on the carpet. I do hate it when he does that, and often scold him for it. Of course, each time he claims to have forgotten and places it again into his satchel bag. Now I'll need to replace the room's carpet yet again. Oh well. I don't know what to say. It's so complete. It reminds me of your earliest works, when you worked such magic with your still life, landscape, yet it features that perfection of facial expressions you so often create. My dear Mr. Pickman, you've perfected your art form, I cry. Pickman replies, I wouldn't say all that, but yes, it is good, isn't it? He'd always been giving me paintings, for as long as I've known him. He's painted for me surreal, yet all too real, images of terror and fear. It was always his gift, the macabre. As Michelangelo was to sculpture and Da Vinci was to science, Pickman was to art. Not as the world knew him, of course. He was never given the acclaim he deserved. I suppose that may have been a contributing reason to his disappearance. "So, any news of the world of Dream?" I asked nonchalantly. Pickman, with an air of boredom, picks up his snack and explains. "Oh, you know, the cats of Ozar are on the warpath again. I think it may be against the sparrows this time. Other than that, I met with our mutual friend Randolph Carter a week or so ago. He told me to send his greetings. Yet he's on yet another one of his foolish dream quests." "Carter? He talked to me about some majestic sunset city. I didn't think he'd actually go looking for it," I exclaimed. And then Pickman conjectured. "One day that man will get himself into some real trouble, you know? I only hope he doesn't drag everyone else down along with him," I remarked. If you were to stand outside the door of any of Pickman's visits, you wouldn't think anything amiss. Just two old friends sitting around shooting the breeze. Of course, if you entered, you'd think something completely different. Much like now, as the door swings open, our gaze quickly moves towards the sound of the creaky, archaic hinges. It would appear that the reporter from earlier has re-entered my home. He seems to be standing in stark terror of something. Is it Pickman's new painting hanging on the hearth? He babbles. "Now calm down, dear boy. There's nothing to be afraid of here," I say soothingly. What? He continues, raising a finger at my friend. "Now there, it's rude to point. Come, sit. Have you any more questions for me, or did you lose your way whilst leaving?" I ask, rising slowly.
No! Get away! Stay clear!"
he shouts. I walk slowly towards him. He turns and tries to run, but trips over the footlocker I foolishly left in the hall. I catch up with him and bring him back to the fire. After an hour and a cup of hot tea, he starts to calm down. Once he's able to articulate his speech again, he claims,
"Dear God! What was that? On heaven above, what was that?"
"My good sir, I can't pretend to understand what caused you such panic, but I assure you it's all right now."
"But then what was?"
"You were pointing at an empty chair," I assure him. He looks for the chair, then realizing that he's sitting in it, jumps up. I grab his shoulders and slowly lower him back down.
"The monster! It was...
There's no monster. It was only your imagination. Now, Dr. Eichmann is on the way. You just stay right there." I pour him another cup of tea. As I hand it to him, the doorbell rings. I begin to walk to the hall door as he suddenly points to the mantel and exclaims,
"The painting! Where's the painting? That horrible eldritch painting!"
"Why, the adoration of the Magi is nothing to be afraid of," I say as I leave towards the door. He looks up again at the mantel, staring at the painting. He recognizes the masterful style of Sandro Botticelli. Nothing is amiss. Cosimo de' Medici is still kneeled by the Virgin. Gaspar de Lama still stood pointing at the observer. After his ordeal, it was extremely calming to see something normal as the painting. Me and Dr. Eichmann walked into the study. The reporter turns to us.
"It's all so surreal. I saw the monster, but now it's gone. Where did it go? Was it Pickman's model?"
"Calm now, dear boy. There is no monster here. There never was. Come along with me back to my office. We'll sort this all out,"
says the doctor. He helps the poor man up and out. At the front door, I say, "Would you excuse me, Dr. Eichmann? I have to get back to work."
"Of course, Herr Nicholson. I'll tell you in the morning how your friend is feeling. Gute Nacht."
He helps the reporter into the car and steps in himself. As they sped away, the reporter turns, glances back, and sees, just for a split second, a hunched, vaguely canine yet all too human creature silhouetted in the study window.
It's been a few weeks since then. It's a Doc Eichmann's check out. I was sent back to Arkham. The boys at the sanitarium said writing it down would make me feel better. I never could remember what happened. One minute I was leaving Nicholson's house. The next, I was in the local hospital being caressed by a nurse. I'm back at work for the Herald-Picayune. They moved me to a new sports column. All I left to do is watch the fighting cephalopods lose to the Kingsport Sparrows. They check up on me every once in a while just to make sure I'm alright. They say I was all quiet from when the doctor stood me up until we were leaving the driveway. I apparently turned my head and screamed to wake the dead. Signed, Teddy Morris, August 12th, 1958. Addendum. This document, amongst others, was found in the desk of one Theodore Morris of Arkham, Massachusetts, on September 1st, 1960. Mr. Morris was found dead in the bathroom of his Church St. apartment. He had killed himself using razor blades, probably some days prior to discovery. Constable Brian O'Donovan. Report September 3rd, 1960.